too. And I find that dishonest. So shame on you, guy I bought this from many years ago. Gang, it's bright and early. Day 4. I think I ran out of fuel last night. I sure hope I did, because if I didn't, something weird happened. I'll tell you what though, the modern jerry can and the old gas tank, it's just not a good combination. Huge pain. We'll make do. We always do. All right, we got 5 gallons in there-ish, probably like 4.5, minus what I spilled. With any luck, that'll start to do some work and turn the popcorn kernels or whatever ethanol turns into after 5 years back into a liquid. All right, so we got her to run yesterday, but that's about where the story ends. I was pretty elated. Nothing majorly screaming wrong. A little tick that we need to get into. Like I said, don't know if it's a lifter, don't know if it's exhaust, don't know if it's a valve. Don't know. However, I did disconnect the battery last night for safety, and I dropped one of these into the abyss that's just down. It's a deep, dark, black hole. Dog and I start our days by singing together. So here's the little trick. It's just thread in a 3/8 bolt with a nut on it, and then you tighten the nut. And that kind of is a battery saver when these things don't do the thing anymore. We got some fuel in there. We got the battery hooked back up. Let's see if she'll fire off. The fuel filters are looking pretty empty. So I might need to drop a little gasoline in the carburetor to help get the suctionification going, get the engine to run a minute, so the fuel pump can run a minute. And then we'll just show you the issues I'm having with this carburetor. Let's see. Oh, the accelerator pump's got a little in it. Okay. If it does, we'll give it a whirl. See how she runs this morning. Oh, but I don't have the keys. Dang it.
You dipstick.
There we go. Not getting anything. That's weird though, isn't it? All right, now we got some fuel. Messing with the idle circuits the other day, so this may be my problem. Let's go open a little more. Whoa.
A clue. Gesundheit.
Okay. So I got my little carb tuning set up. It's a cheap vacuum gauge that I hooked to, obviously, the manifold vacuum, because ported won't tell you anything. Our advance is hooked up to ported. Majigger, what do you call that? Timing light? Having a tachometer on it is huge, man. It's huge. And some good old-fashioned vacuum leak finder, a carburetor tool. So I'm gonna fire it up. We're just gonna mess with it. This carburetor is old and tired and whatever else. So we'll just try to get it to an optimal tune for what it is, and then check for vacuum leaks. That's really low, but the vacuum, that's terrible too. So let's just confirm our timing. I'm seeing 10 degrees. 10 degrees, that's what I'm seeing. That's good enough. Should be in the neighborhood of what we're doing. It is idling really low, so let's see if we can adjust that. Where's my device? Oh, my back pocket, that's where I always keep it. We're gonna adjust the idle mixture screws enough to see if we can get a change. I'm gonna roll this one all the way in and see what happens. This ought to kill the motor, but it's not. We'll go out 1.5 turns. That's normally where I start. All the way in. mean, the fact that the idle screws aren't really doing anything, and we only have 10 higajiggas of vacuum, something's wrong. All right, the shortest version of this is carburetor's got multiple vacuum leaks and quite possibly a dirty idle circuit. So let's be real about this thing. So the carburetor's probably way overdue for a rebuild, but on top of that, it is carburetorus unknownus. Like, I don't know where it came from. It was on the motor when I got it, which means A, it's a California carburetor, which means it has more gadgetry and circuitry for smogness that I don't understand. And it's worn slap out. So this carburetor that's in there, it charts on the zombie tsunami scale. So if there was a tsunami coming at you full of zombies, fire it up and get the hell out of there as fast as you can. This carburetor will do that. But we need it to be on the daily driver plus road trip ready scale. That's the upper echelon. A new to me as of this morning, 1406, 600 CFM, Edelbrock carburetor. Yep, it's been run. So I don't know if we want to get into it or if we just want to slap her on there and see how she does, because this thing apparently came off a C3 Corvette. The guy put on a Quadrajet that was accurate for his 73 vehicle. Oh, look at that. He gave me the hardware too. Nice guy. He was showing the intake and all that stuff. I'm fat on intakes right now. I got plenty. I got a lot, man. So spraying flammable chemicals or non-flammable chemicals around your carburetor while it's running is like, it's more of a hatchet than a scalpel, but it will tell you if there's a problem. So, like, but here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can move both shafts up and down. Not so much side to side, but up and down. This guy right here, nothing. Nada. Solid as a rock. So rather than try to bend carburetor unknown to my will, that one blew through. Okay. This one clear? That one's not clear. We getting it through there? Yep. 15 minutes later, I have completely sweat through my t-shirt because it's 89 degrees already and it's not even noon. Swapped out the carburetors. That's it. Let's just see what the differences are between carburetorus unknown and 1406. Gonna take a minute to fill up, I guess. Let's give it a little bit more throttle so we can keep it running for now. Half turn, a little squirt. Weird. Why is that happening? Makes me feel like the timing's not what I think it is. Let's find out. Instantly seeing more vacuum. So that's good. Timing's at 10 degrees. There's something terrible echoing in my head, and that is the guy I bought this engine from said there's something wrong with the distributor. And I know this distributor is fine from the last motor, or at least I think it is. So I'm wondering if the timing marks just aren't right.
God damn it, Gump! You're a goddamn genius!
Which should be a problem. But we can time it by ear, I guess. Something is behaving not the way that it should. We got a situation where we have low vacuum, we have weird low idle, and our timing appears to be set at 10 degrees. But I remember what the man said. Something wrong with the distributor, he said. And then we noticed the timing chain cover has been removed. The only thing I've noticed about this since I've been tinkering on it, see that? Somebody got in there though. Somebody's been here. Somebody's been here. Got this sneaking suspicion that something is not lined up correctly on the timing chain, like the gear is off a tooth or something like that, which would make reading the timing off the harmonic balancer not quite possible. But I have this concern. If you hit the throttle, it wants to backfire through the carburetor, and it lugs and stuff. It's not good. So that tells me the timing is off, but the timing according to the balancer and the timing light is correct.
What does it all mean?
So in a perfect world, the balancer is shifted, the timing mark on the balancer. I've heard that's a thing that can happen. I've only seen it happen once, and when it happened, the rubber thing came completely loose and was no longer doing anything. Because if your balancer does not match your tab, this is a cheap little Mr. Gasket one, it's gonna ruin your day, pal. But what I'm worried about is if somebody put a timing gear set in here and a timing chain and it's off a tooth. And if that's the case, I'm pretty sure we gotta pull everything apart and get that right, because, well, if the crank and the cam aren't doing their thing all happy together, then it's never gonna work. So, I got one last trick up my sleeve. I'm gonna try to time it just with the vacuum gauge, and then we're gonna have to work from there. All right, here we go. So I got the vacuum gauge right here. Got 13 mercuries. Going way up. 15, 18. Got 7 inches of mercury more. According to that timing mark, it's 36 degrees. So something's not right, because it's clearly running significantly better. I don't know if I can get any more timing out of it. Let's just kind of move it around and figure out where it wants to be. I dropped the idle back down to 550 RPM. See what else we can get out of it. 20 inches of mercury. Feels a little wobbly there. Let's go back down to where we were. It seemed pretty happy. I'm just doing this with the vacuum gauge. So we're right at 20 inches. Let's see what happens now. I don't know what to say about that. It's running like a top. Like a top. So here we are, we're idling at 670, something like that. So I keep advancing the timing on here. It's saying 47 degrees. I don't know what the hell is going on. I mean, the short answer is I don't think it's advanced like that. I really don't. I think that something is just off. Probably, possibly, the balancer. I don't know how you get it off. Maybe there's different kinds of balancers. I gotta look. I can't explain what's happening, but let's get in there and give it a couple revs and see what's going on. Got a tiny little hesitation, but I'm sure we can tune that out. Temperature is good, oil pressure is good. I mean, the last trick for timing is to see if she'll restart when she's warm, and she's warm. Put it in the comments. That's what, yeah. So what do you guys think? I mean, I'm a puzzling and I'm a stewing, and right now what I have is an aftermarket timing tab and a balancer that I don't know the provenance of, that must have come off this engine at some point based on the timing cover that's on it. So I'm willing to completely ignore that. I never checked to see if the piston was actually at the top of its stroke when I lined up the timing marks. I simply got some compression, could feel it on my thumb on the spark plug hole, and then I lined up the timing mark to my timing tab. And so all that's telling me is that that's indeed on the compression stroke for number 1, but I never followed it through to see it was actually at the top of the cylinder when the line lined up. Now, if it is, that would be befuddling, because there's no way in tarnation that this thing would fire up at 40 degrees advanced. It just wouldn't do it. There's just, I don't think, there's just no way. Dog. So here we are with a hot engine. Fires right up. 20 inches of vacuum. I don't know. How do you guys deal with stuff like this? So now, if I had not been in a position where I've had to time without a timing mark before, which is, this is how I do it. I time it to vacuum and then get the best running engine I can that will start when it's hot. And then if I drive it around and I hear some pinging or some detonation, I'll just back it off a couple degrees and hope for the best. And that seems to work. I mean, we're midway through day 4. I wanted to get her roadworthy in 5 days. So here we are. I think it's running well. Sounds like it's running good. That noise even went away when we adjusted everything. To me, the thing to do is to turn a blind eye to the balancer and the timing tab. And I know that may sound insane to some of you, but I think the guy that sold me this engine, unfortunately, was not very honest, and he did not tell me that he could not get the thing to run right or time right. He blamed it on the distributor. He didn't mention what the problem was with it, and I find that dishonest. So shame on you, guy I bought this from many years ago. That was the reason he pulled the motor. He just didn't say so. He said it was a good running motor, which, if it is, he didn't know it. I'll tell you that much. But we've got potential. There's several things that will be indicative if this timing isn't right or if it's way off. First of all, it'll drive like dog do, won't have any power. Second of all, it might ping or detonate a little bit, but we should be able to tell. And third, perhaps we'll have engine cooling problems, right? Your timing being way off can definitely change the internal temperature of your engine, and that will cause overheating under certain circumstances. It's just one other thing. It's all connected, ladies and gentlemen. I really kind of want to jump in and just drive it, but I've got it on the lift right now because getting it back on this lift is going to be tricky. For right now, I got to kick these exhausts out here. It'll be a little bit cooler, but also, you know, we won't be dumping the exhaust 5 feet from the back of the vehicle directly underneath it. All right, gang, if you've got a mark pipe or anything round, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be pretty good, and you want a straight line, I tend to just use masking tape, because if I can wrap it around and I can line up my edge, then I know I'm pretty close. Here we go. All right. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Huh. Ah! Yeah. All right, we got our new connector Medusa. Didn't deburr this. Are you gonna work anyway? No, of course not. Be right back. This is gonna work okay. We're gonna yank these guys out. I'm gonna cut this one and just rotate it so it runs out that way. And then maybe we can take the exhaust tube that we cut off to shorten this whole thing, weld that on, and we've spent $20 in little connectomatics. That's the plan, Stans. Was this endeavor plagued by a significant lack of planning? Yes. Yeah. But we got exhaust sticking out the side of the car.
Badass. It is badass.
Get off of me. That's a lot of water. Good gravy. Everybody stay clear of the splash zone. Holy moly. Are you seeing this? This isn't a joke. It's really, looks surprisingly clean. I mean, I know that it's not, but it should be very rusty. Apparently we're going to be here all day. That bit's real crusty. Look at this. That is a lot of water. So here I was thinking it was test drive time with our new exhausts there, but forgot we get this whole front end to put back together. So we're gonna give it one of those. Moses, good gravy. Those lower bolts were as bad as I thought they would be. It's like threading a needle wearing oven mitts. That's awful. I've been thinking about this timing thing, and I was looking at this one, and my timing tab's about here, and roughly 40 something degrees is right here. So if the balancer didn't slip that's on there, but it's keyed for that style timing cover mark thing, that would kind of explain it. The timing cover has been changed. I did a compression test on it. If the timing gears were off, I just don't think it would have very good compression. Some valves would be open and closed when they shouldn't be. So anyway, I'm not gonna sweat it. I'm gonna pretend there is no timing tab. I tuned it by ear with a vacuum gauge, and we'll let it rip until we find a reason not to, you know? Speaking of, it's time to try it. We got the ramps in, just shoved everything out of the way. Let's see if we can get this behemoth out of here without crashing it into my lift or the garage. That will be its own thing. Guys, I gotta move some cars to actually get it out of here and try it, but like, I moved it out here and didn't get smoked out. And look at that. Look at that. And maybe we got a lot of vacuum. Maybe the booster just wasn't getting enough vacuum because the motor was in such bad shape. I'm not really sure, but I feel like the brakes are better than I remember. Don't know. All right, fellas, here we go. Open road. Got the doghouse all off. We can see and tune our whole situation here. Onward! Probably should have checked the tire pressure. That's alright. Guys, it's leaving the yard. Can you even believe it? Can I put in here 5 gallons of gas? Sure. Oh, I forgot how crazy this is to drive. Because you're right over the front wheel, so the turning is just weird. Road ready? You know, I don't know. Define it, you know? There's plenty of work that we gotta do in the back and really in the front. But that sounds a little valvey. A little bit valvey. But I can't really tell. Also could be an exhaust leak because we got brand new gaskets. It sounds like valves. Sounds like the passenger side. If we had to escape some zombies, I think she'd do it, man. I really do. So we're gonna keep tuning on it. We're gonna try to get it right. Sounds like we'll be getting into the valves, do some adjusting on those sooner than later. If you're into this stuff, please subscribe. If you're not and you enjoyed it anyway, please subscribe. It really helps me out. And yeah, man, I don't know. Now that this is driver, we can maybe do all the fun stuff too. Turn it into a Ford on wheels and stuff. I'm pretty excited. I've been dreading this motor swap forever. I wouldn't say it's fast, but we'll get it dialed in.